Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Brothers Discuss. I'm Alex.
And I'm Chris.
All right, Chris, we are now in August, so it's ostensibly the end of the summer blockbuster season. And I don't think there's any really big releases in August, so it's kind of the end. What have your thoughts been for this past summer?
It's been pretty solid. Um, I don't think, I mean, it was a lot of like week to week releases. I didn't watch them all, but I watched most of them, and most of them were pretty good. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting seeing like what's done well at the box office. Personally, I did not think Lilo and Stitch was going to do as well as it did. That broke the
mm,
billion. It's one of the few films post pandemic to make $1 billion. So there's no way something like Superman or Fantastic Four is going to dethrone it at this point. Speaking of which, let's talk about Fantastic Four. This
all
is
right,
the fifth Fantastic Four film, technically, I guess. All
kind of.
right. Yeah.
Really the fourth one, but yeah.
Yeah. What did you think of this movie?
I thought it was pretty fantastic.
S-
So,
Say that again.
at first I was somewhat underwhelmed because I don't know, just something didn't click the first time I watched it. And I couldn't really explain what it was. Like it's just like something just kind of fell off. Maybe it was just like the runtime, things were just happening too quick, but uh upon rewatch, I mean it definitely helped and it just didn't really stick out. I love all the characters, I love their dynamics. More than any other Fantastic Four film to date, this one has a really heavy emphasis on the family aspect and that aesthetic, man. It's Matt Shackman. He did WandaVision, so gonna go. I'm gonna love it already. But um, yeah, it looks great. I love the '60s aesthetic. I love like how much practical use there was in this movie. Um, it looks great.
Yeah. So I really like this movie. I have kind of a funny relationship with Fantastic Four. I think like a lot of comic book fans, unless they're very passionate fans of Fantastic Four, where I like the characters. It's kind of hard to say like what do you do with the Fantastic Four that's different to the last four times we've seen a movie. And I've actually seen the 1994 film that was never properly released, and while I think that has a lot of positives in terms of how they adapt, particularly Reed and Ben, it's kind of a weird movie. It seems like there was a group of people that were really pushing that as like this is actually the best Fantastic Four movie. It just has the lowest budget, and it's not that. It's also got a pretty terrible script, but there are aspects of the stories of Ben and Reed that they do really well. Then in the 2005 film, again, I think Reed, Ben, and Johnny are all really well done. I think those are great adaptations of those three characters. It's not so much with Sue, and unfortunately, I don't think Jessica Alba was quite the right casting choice for that character. And I mean, he's passed away now, but the Julian McMahon, who while I like what he does in both of those films, his Doctor Doom is nothing special really. And Rise of the Silver Surfer has some fun moments with Silver Surfer, but it hasn't got a particularly good script either. And then Fant Four Stick is just a total mess. So when you get to this film, I think it actually takes a lot of the story elements from Rise of the Silver Surfer and does them a bit better in terms of the structure of the story and exact events that happen in Rise of the Silver Surfer happen in this film. Even if you replace like the media frenzy over like the wedding with the media frenzy over the Fantastic Four's heroes, and plus the fact that Sue is pregnant. Like it does take a lot of similar elements, and I think it does it better. So I think you have to go into this knowing who the Fantastic Four are, though. Like I think if you go into this totally cold, I don't think you'll like this as much. And I appreciate them not doing the origin again because we've had that twice in other films before, but it does actually need you to know something about the characters beforehand. So I think in terms of adapting the characters, I think it does Johnny and Sue particularly well. I think. And
Hmm.
nothing wrong with the performances, but I think Ben is a little bit lacking because they set up a romance for him that doesn't particularly go anywhere, and Pedro Pascal is, again, nothing wrong with his performance, but his you can tell he's trying to be a little closer to dorky comic book read, but I think that gets overshadowed by the responsibility of being a parent more than him as a scientist and things like that. But I can't lie, I just had a lot of fun watching this movie, and it did feel in a lot of ways like an adaptation of an old school Fantastic Four story. So with that said, I had a ball watching this on my second viewing because my first viewing, I have a bit of a story to tell. It's another one of my patented bad movie theater experiences. So allow me to share the story. So this is my very first time I ever saw a new movie on a Thursday 2 p.m. showing. Like, this is the earliest I've ever done it besides what I did for Superman, but I could talk about that after Fantastic Four. But anyways, saw this super early. It was not a particularly packed theater, but that said, there were two teenagers that showed up slightly later, like just before the movie started. And when they were asked to show their tickets, they had to leave because they snuck in. So then they came back, presumably after they bought tickets, I assume. And I could tell immediately this was not going to go well because they were just talking. And then it got to the point once the movie started, I sort of leaned over to them and saying, "I hope you guys shut up." And then they just kept talking and talking. And then I, again, gave them another courtesy warning of like, "All right, are you guys going to shut up now?" And they're like, "Nope." And I'm like, "Okay then." So I got up and left. I flagged a staff member and said, "Hey, those guys that you kicked out earlier, they're talking." It's like, "Okay, well, we have to give them a warning first." And it's like, in my mind, I'm like, "Well, wasn't the warning that you kicked them out the first time?" But whatever, it's their policy, I guess. So that's fine by me. So then later, they kept talking and talking, and it wasn't like it was like super loud talking, but I could hear them in my ear, and it like, and they're also on their fucking phone as well. Like I could see clear as day, like what they're looking up, and it's like, what are we doing here? But luckily, someone else tattled on them, so then they got kicked out. So then for like 30 minutes, it was peaceful. And luckily, it was this was during the moment where the movie actually gets really good with like the whole Sue going into labor bit. Luckily that experience was unharmed for me. I was able to enjoy that. But then they came back. They snuck in.
Oh my god.
They didn't sit next to me this time, but I could see them in like towards the front. And of course, they start filming the movie. So I don't want to sound like I'm a controlling person or anything like that, but when you pay money to see a movie at a theater in a public place, just don't be a dick. Come on, that's really all I ask.
Yeah.
Like, have you had any bad movie experiences lately?
Not in a while. I can't remember the last time I had one where like it just kind of took me out of the movie.
Mm,
Um, so it's been fine for me, and I've been going to like with Fantastic Four and Superman. I mean, they were uh, opening night like IMAX showings, like
mm.
fully packed, and I haven't had any incidents with that. It's just been those experiences. They were just nice to see with like a crowd and everything, but um, yeah, I mean, did they do like? Did they leave again, or did they get kicked out again
They did not
after
get kicked
that?
out again, unfortunately.
Oh God.
Yeah. So I ended up missing like a few minutes of the movie in my first viewing, so that's why
Mm,
I wanted to go see it again to give it like give it the proper time of day for me. And luckily, the second experience was much better. So,
yeah.
anyways, I guess to get back to the movie, Um, I think a big plus for the movie, again, this draws to Rise of the Silver Surfer, is that you have a Silver Surfer in the movie and you have Galactus. And
Hmm.
Silver Surfer being a woman in this film made a lot more sense within the context of the story due to the connection, for lack of a better term, she ends up having with Johnny. And
Yeah.
Galactus, it's always difficult to do a character like that is all powerful and doesn't have. I mean, maybe some people could point to other stories, but I always think that Galactus doesn't have a ton of character that you could pump into him. It's not like Thanos or some of those really big
Right.
world-ending characters that you can spend a whole movie understanding, which they did do very well in the MCU. Galactus is a force. Like, he's a little one note. So not that I'm defending turning him into a cloud, but I can understand how when they made that film, they were like, well, we can't really have a giant man walking around. Like, we'll just make it this. And Silver Surfer is more the focus. And so with this one, it's like they really didn't want to do that. So we get him walking around New York and all these things, and there's a really excellent moment. Well, two great moments. He lands in the water, and then he gets to land. He grabs a bunch of trees out of the ground and starts sniffing them. And Johnny has this really confused look on his face, like looking around the corner, and I died. Like, I thought that was such a funny moment. But I think the thing I liked about that is that it didn't have the funny line, which is not normally the MCU way. Like, it just had the reaction. So, yeah, that's
Yeah.
why that worked for me. And then later, he grabs Reed and essentially just starts stretching him. And Galactus has this like little smile on his face. I was like, oh, this is great. Like, this is perfect. So, yeah, moments like that where I was like, oh, they did this character well because he's a little one note. So I thought they did Galactus really well for an all powerful character. What did you think?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. There's not too much you can do with Galactus. But I think, what you get with him, he's pretty menacing. He's um, seeing him, and like, this is something I've seen online, is just seeing the movie in IMAX. I haven't seen it in a regular screening just because like
Mm,
that sequence is completely different in IMAX. You see so much more of him, and like it's just the scale. It's just so yeah. Galactus is really cool in the movie.
on that note, I did not see this movie in IMAX. I only saw it in the
Okay,
regular screenings. So
okay,
yeah, that's cool.
yeah, yeah. No, it's really neat. So it's yeah. He's really cool in it. He's pretty scary.
Yeah. Actually, thinking about this movie, there's actually some interesting parallels to Superman as well, like the new Superman movie that
Hmm.
I guess we could talk about when we get to
Yeah.
Superman. But just quickly on that note, Kevin Feige did an interview recently where he said that he really liked Superman, and he liked that you're just straight into the story. Like, it doesn't worry too much about the origin stuff, and that is what happened with Fantastic Four, which is I found amusing.
Hmm.
And I gotta say though, I think my favorite character in this may have been Mole Man. I can't
Oh, I
lie.
love Mole Man.
Mole Man's great.
I love when like everyone goes to Subterranea and he's like, just wipe your feet on the entrance. Just kidding, it's all dirt.
That's so good. And I guess just before we go too far off, a Silver Surfer moment I really liked was when she sort of phases through the ship and starts reaching for Sue's pregnant belly. In the background, you see
Yeah.
Reed, who, because this is all happening in a split second, it can't do anything about it. Like, his eyes are just incredibly wide. It looked like Jack Kirby eyes. Like, I thought it was great. Like, I really liked that whole sequence where they're getting away from Silver Surfer while Sue is ready to give birth. Like, that was incredibly exciting. I think it's probably the best sequence in the movie.
Oh yeah.
I this is one that just works for me for whatever reason. Like, this just really works for me. This movie. Like, I mean, I like the stuff with Herbie. I thought Herbie was a fun addition to the movie.
I love it when Johnny like pets Herbie in the
Yes, I was
movie
just
and
about
he
to
gets
say.
so excited.
Yeah, like there's a point where Sue walks in and Reed like should be assembling the crib, but instead it's Herbie. and Herbie's just kind of like looking around confused, and like little moments like that are cute, but just sort of a fun energy in the movie. And I definitely thought, oh man, they're gonna kill Herbie in this, aren't they? Like I was like, oh, this will be the sad moment. Like a similar thing happens in Superman where like he comes back and all the droids are dead, and he has the moment of it with Gary. I thought we were gonna get that with Herbie, but we didn't.
Yeah.
Thankfully, like Herbie survived, but Sue died though. What'd you think of this?
I mean, you're setting up Franklin as a MacGuffin in Doomsday. I think he's the all power cosmic. So I'm not I've seen a lot of people upset about this. I'm not too upset just because I know like where this is going, but it's interesting.
Right. I mean, I was glad to see that using that much of her powers to like attempt to defeat Galactus had a giant effect on her, but because like if I had to lift up a car with my bare hands to save someone, like it's probably going to hurt me in a terrible way. Maybe not kill me, but if I manage to have the strength to do it, and this is not one of those like adrenaline stories that you hear about, but yeah, she wanted to save a child. Like unless you were the Thing, then you can lift a car and throw it at children. Um, we got a Yancey Street reference, which kind of made me go like, oh, like in the movie, because it was one of those Ben Grimm-isms. But again, this is part of the criticisms that Ben doesn't have tons of characterization. I mean, he has the beard, and I guess they established that he just grows facial hair like everyone else. Like, he can't grow hair on his head, but he can grow a beard. Whatever. It looked cool.
It looks cool.
I mean, I like seeing him walk around with like the big trench coat and the hat. Like that's always a great Ben Grimm look to me. Like, I mean, I'm looking at my pop figure at the moment, but yeah, I think there is at least an opportunity to do more than that, and that doesn't wipe away the film not doing enough with him. I don't like when people use that argument of now it's open to do more because it's not necessarily meaning they're gonna do more, but I would hope that there's an opportunity to do more with the Thing, since this opens up a new character to do more films or shows or whatever with, because we're kind of needing some of those iconic classic Marvel characters to do stuff with stuff like that with. But like mentioning Yancey Street and stuff like that, like you can do like the Yancey Street gang stuff in a future film or show or whatever. So yeah, I would like to see more Ben Grimm because I'm a big Ben Grimm fan.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what do you think of the Thing in this?
I thought he was great. Yeah, I mean, I see what you mean. Like he kind of feels a little undercooked, or they don't really like give him a proper arc or a proper resolution. Um, but just as the character himself, just his thing. I think what you get with him is really good.
Yeah.
I think they nail his relationship with Johnny, and uh, yeah, I thought it was fun.
Did the voice work for you?
It did more than I thought it would. Yeah, that was one of my big concerns about the trailer. Is that like I always love Thing having the raspy
Yeah,
voice, and
we're big. You and I are big fans of the Michael Chiklis thing from the
yeah,
2005 film with like the it's clobber time. Like we're just a big fan of that sort of performance. And that's not
and
here. That's just not what he does here.
I think I'm fine with it because
Yeah.
it's kind of just like the film's aware of it as like that's like a stereotype with Thing, kind
Mhm.
of like it's clobbering time itself. Like that's just something from the cartoon, and like the raspy voice that's just from the cartoon. Thing's just a normal guy ish in real life, except he's just all rocks. But yeah, so it didn't bother me because of the context of the film. But yeah,
Yeah. And I guess another moment that I really liked was in the credits where you get the Jack Kirby quote, and that's when you find out why this Earth is called Earth 828. Because when that
yeah,
happened, we were all. I think everyone in my theater was like, "Oh."
yeah.
I don't know how yours reacted to that.
It was pretty similar.
So I thought that was a nice little touch. I guess we're in that end of the film territory now, like the mid credit scene, which I really liked. I will say though, you can tell immediately it's a Russo brothers film. It just looks like their
Oh yeah,
style. Like there's
yeah.
plenty to argue about with the Russo brothers, and one of them talks too much nonsense online. But I mean, as filmmakers, they made four good movies, so I really like the reveal of it. Like I like the big green coat and everything, and I had that kind of whoa moment in my head because it's Doctor Doom. He's not only such an important character for the Fantastic Four, which he obviously is, but in order to do a different movie, I don't think you could do this film with him as the villain. Like I think he needed something else to try and set yourself apart. So I am excited to see him face off against the Marvel universe. Like in that sense, I don't know what exactly they're doing or if the casting of Downey will be right, but I am very interested in that film. And I thought this little scene was a great mid-credits tease for the future, which is what these scenes should be.
Hmm.
And then the after credit scene happened, and it was a fun little cartoon bit. And when it ended, there were a few groans in the audience. I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh man, like we're not at that point yet where the fun ending thing works for people. Like it just never totally lands. It's fine by me, but not for everyone apparently."
Yeah.
All right, so what did you think of the credit scenes?
Uh, the Doom one, yeah, it got me a little excited. It really, I guess, just kind of depends. Like, if this is that universe's Doom is going to be like the main Doom and Doomsday, or whatever is going to happen. If it is, I think they tease him like just a proper amount. Like, there's a couple scenes in the movie where you see um, an empty Latveria table at like the United Nations or Future Foundation in the
Mm,
movie. Um, so it's like you already know he's anti Fantastic Four and all of that. If that is that Doom, if it's just another Doom, then whatever. But um, it did get me excited just seeing like where this is all going, and the cartoon I didn't mind. I've been around Marvel long enough to watch a lot of post credit scenes that are just kind of like the gag ones, and
mm,
I know a lot of people that hate like Multiverse of Madness, and I'm like, that's a great post credit scene.
yeah,
Y'all
Pizza
are
Papa
idiots.
Man.
And this is kind of the same thing. It's like a cute little cartoon, and you get a little Herbie turning
Yeah.
off the TV.
Mm. We got a news recently that Doctor Doom isn't gonna have a scarred up face, which fans were like, "Oh, come on! Why does the MCU take away these things for the comics?" But like, the implication I got from the mid credit scene is that I think Doom seeks out Franklin, and I think Franklin is gonna take the Beyonders role in Secret Wars. Because
Hmm.
in Secret Wars, the original comic, Doom heals his face after taking like the Beyonder's powers. So I think that's
I
what's
could see that.
yeah, like I think it works for me just as a concept for a film. Like so going to a reality where he looks like the hero that essentially started the age of like heroism in that world. Like, it makes sense to me. And the Fantastic Four traveling there because Doom took Franklin, I think works. I mean, I think they Marvel have put out more good than bad this year. Like I don't know
Yeah,
personally anyone that watched Ironheart. I still haven't watched
I did.
Ironheart. Oh, you did. Okay. But
It's fine.
okay. But sometimes they make things that aren't the most popular thing in the world, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. We like Daredevil and we like Thunderbolts and we like Fantastic Four, so that's fine. They're doing all right.
Hmm.
All right. Do you have any final thoughts on Fantastic Four?
No, I don't think so.
All right, cool. So I guess we give it a big old thumbs up. All right, let's talk about the thing. Not that thing.
I was gonna say we already talked about the
Yeah,
thing.
Ben Grimm. All right, let's talk about Superman. What do you think? It's all right.
uh,
It's pretty good.
Superman is super,
Oh,
pretty super. um, yeah, so I think this does everything right for kickstarting a new universe, and um, it, James Gunn. I was skeptical like of him doing a Superman movie just because like I like it when he does movies about the losers and all that stuff. Suicide Squad, Guardians, like that. That's his alley, and we get stings of that in this movie. Um, but I was very impressed to see like just how Superman y this kind of felt. Um, it is, and I'll go and start talking about like the parallels to Fantastic Four. It does just like jump straight into the world.
Mhm.
It gives you a slight recap in the very beginning,
Yeah, I really
but
like
you're
that.
just
I like that little like a little I don't know what you would call it. It's just that block of
it's kind of like
text.
a crawl.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so like the whole like 3 centuries, 3 decades, 3 years, 3 weeks, 3 days, 3 minutes, right?
yeah,
And then the 3 months we find out that's covered. They go into that as the film goes along.
yeah. So,
So yeah. Anyway, sorry.
um,
Continue.
no, no, you're all good. But yeah, I don't know what to say. You go ahead for a
Sure.
second.
I love this movie as well. Like I definitely did view in my initial viewing of it that there were things that didn't quite work in terms of how I would view another story, but it almost feels odd to judge a Superman film in that way because it is already a fantastical kind of experience to watch a film about this character. So, I mean, I had a great time watching the film, and I think it's
Hmm.
a really big, fun adventure film that does do a great adaptation of the character. The movie does move at an incredibly fast pace, and I know it's been talked
Yes.
about that James Gunn originally had the days of the week as titles in the film for, when a new day would begin. And I think that would have helped the pacing not feel quite as quick and rushed in hindsight. But I think in my initial viewing, I was like, it was pretty crazy in terms of pacing. And not all of the comedy worked, but you know what? Like, I had fun watching this movie. And then I think on the second viewing is when I went, okay, I know what the movie is now, and it works for me a lot more on this new screening of it because what am I trying to say? Like, Superman has been done many times on the big screen, and I dare say he's only been nailed once in terms of the big screen adaptations. I think there's a lot of great stuff in the George Reeves era. Like, I think that kind of has molded what I view as the really fun Superman stuff, especially the Daily Planet trio. Like, I like seeing those three characters, Jimmy and Lois and Clark, all together. But the 1978 Superman film, I think nails the character. I think everything after that has been either a step down or a massive step down. And I rewatched Superman Returns before this, and I've always had a place in my heart for that film because it certainly came out at a time when I was really into seeing superhero movies and big screen adaptations of these characters when I was a kid. And I think there's a lot of positives to that film that I think get overshadowed by what people view as the kind of boring nature of the film. But that one works for me a little better. But I think in terms of the story structure, like there's this blackout that's happened that's caused Superman to essentially return, and no one's looking at the reason for the blackout except for Lois. And it turns out that the reason for the blackout is Lex, and it's like that's a great little elevator pitch for a story. But then there's all these other problems with that movie that are so clear and heavy that again they overshadow the positives of that movie. With this one, I don't know, it's so much fun and bright and crazy and full of action that I think a lot of those problems, at least for me, don't become super strong because I really did have a great time watching it. And I know I said this as well for Fantastic Four, but maybe I'm just in that mindset now where these films are different to other films that I've been looking forward to. Like, I think for the most part, the type of films that I get really excited for are like films like Sinners or 28 Years Later or like some indie films, like films like that. And then these big adaptations of superhero stuff, like I don't know, maybe I'm just viewing them in a different way now. Like I don't even know what I'm trying to say with all of this or if it makes sense, but anyways, it's a good movie.
Yeah, about the pacing, I think I think the idea behind it, and that's why it doesn't bother me, is just because James Gunn. again, you're kickstarting a universe, but you're trying to do the opposite of Man of Steel. Like you want the Superman to be established, you want it to be bright, colorful, fun, exciting. You just want it to go like just faster, more intense, and so by contrast, it's just like you're doing the complete opposite of Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Superman saves a squirrel in this movie.
I mean, it's kind of funny again to talk about like needing to explain Superman because everyone kind of knows who Superman is, and it does feel a little detrimental to have to explain Superman in a movie where we've had recent films deal with his origins, and there was a whole TV show about Krypton. Like, it feels like there's always Superman in media, so maybe they don't need to be explained the same way the Fantastic Four do. But I do also, I'll just say this. I disagree with James Gunn when he says in like public places that we don't need to see the origins for Superman or Batman or Spider-Man anymore, because I think taking away the origin story of those characters, which is really important, and saying that they've been done enough times, we've seen it does take away story elements for creators. Like, that being said, I don't like when they change, the death of the Waynes, but like as an example, as weird as it is to say, it was almost neat seeing it in Joker when it's like, oh, the Wayne's death, like it just sort of suddenly happens in the movie. And so like moments like that, I'd hate to see just like, you can't do that anymore because we've seen it too many times. But yeah, anyway, just wanted to say that. Like, I like James Gunn. I know people on the internet are weird about him and whatever, but I think this is like a small minority that just gets very vocal because they're so passionate about this. I mean, the fact that we still have released the Snyder Cut and sell the Snyderverse to Netflix, like all of that nonsense, like yeah, that's just never gonna happen. And again, it's just a loud minority. I view it as. I think this franchise is gonna do perfectly fine. But I guess on that note, we should probably talk about the L's, because this has probably been the most talked about point of the movie with what they do with Superman's biological parents. What did you think of it?
It didn't bother me whatsoever. I don't mind the twist because it's like who the character is more important than where he comes from. Um, but
Which is a very James Gunn thing.
yeah, exactly. And so it never bothered me whatsoever. I like what they do with his arc. It's perfectly fine in the context of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say on the point of it being a huge talking point that I'm shocked that it is, because again, with all these characters that get adapted over and over again, like all these years, of course you have room to play around with what these characters are and what they mean to Clark Kent. Like, I mean, in my opinion, Jor-El is essentially a thing that you use as like kind of like a reminder of where Clark comes from. The idea that he's like a character that you've ruined the identity of by having him like try and shove this choice upon Clark through a video that he doesn't really see. Like, the fact that this is a huge talking point to people kind of shocks me, because it's like, I mean, whatever. Like it has always been presented as Superman's personality comes from where he was raised. Like, he was raised on a farm by two people that gave him great character, and that's what helped him become the Superman that people know. It doesn't have a ton to do with Jor-El or Krypton, apart from the powers that he has and the responsibility that he has because they sent him there in their dying moments. So it's funny to me that people are so offended by this, because I'm kind of like, really big Jor-El fans, are we? Like get real. Like, that's not something that anyone is. I don't think.
Yeah.
Something that I will talk about here, like away from the character of Superman a little bit, is I'm a big Jimmy Olsen fan. Just in general, I'm a little disappointed that we only got one dorky Daily Planet Clark Kent scene, and no one kind of questions where he is at the end of the movie when a Metropolis is being torn in half. It's like Perry's like, all right, let's get you, and you, and he doesn't say like, where the hell is Kent or anything like that. Like, we probably could have maybe used that a little bit, because Clark is just nowhere for several days. But yeah, I will say that I really like Jimmy Olsen, and I
Hmm.
guess he's not a photographer in this. He's kind of like Lois's typist or assistant, kind of. But because he types up the story and we never see him with a camera, I don't think he is a photographer. But I like that there was a side quest for Jimmy Olsen where he's had a relationship with Miss Tashmacher, and he calls her like mutant toes on in his phone, which we never got to see the mutant toes, which is fine by me, I suppose. I don't know. But yeah, we have this section with Jimmy Olsen where I really didn't think we were gonna get a lot with him, but he ended up being part of at least this big change in the flow of the story, at least in order to help Superman succeed. So I thought that was fun. I think that was a point in the movie where I was like, this is great. Like suddenly getting this Jimmy Olsen section of the movie. I like that.
Yeah.
Um, I did hear a group in my theater say they felt they underutilized Lois a little bit, and I didn't really feel that way because
I didn't feel the way either.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, because I thought she was such a huge part of the film, and the scene that she has where she's talking to Mr. Terrific as the ship is taking off, and she says like, "I'm just talking to myself," and he's like, "I don't really talk to people about this sort of thing," and she just keeps going, and he looks back at her like, "Did you hear me?" Like that was a good funny moment. It felt very Lois Lane, like, so that's neat. So I think the whole cast of the film, it's very well cast. I mean, I think David Cornsweet is a fantastic Superman, but I think one of the best elements of the movie is Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor, because
Yeah.
it's been neat seeing this particular type of Lex get adapted, because I think this is kind of my favorite version of Lex. I mean, I really like the Gene Hackman funny stuff, but I am definitely someone that was very connected to Michael Rosenbaum's stuff in Smallville. So it's neat getting to see this in a movie. What do you think?
Oh no, Lex is he steals the show in this movie. Just a straight up hater. It's like it's so good, and Nicholas Holt's performance is just absolutely amazing in this film.
Mm,
He's very over the top in certain scenes, but like it works and just in the context of the world. And
yeah.
yeah, no, Lex is great. He's one of my favorite villains. So, and this is definitely my favorite portrayal we've ever seen of him.
Mm. Yeah, so it just feels like a good evolution of the character. Like, similar to how in the 80s, that's when Lex started to lean into like being more of like a businessman modeled after, I guess, someone in particular. Could have been anybody, honestly. Maybe they should have gotten Sebastian Stan to play him. They got the wrong Marvel actor to play him. Attack, attack, attack. 1A, 1A, 1A. Um, all right. What do you think of the Justice Gang?
Yeah, I thought they were good. It makes sense to start setting things up, and they all have an arc in the movie, which is
Yeah.
kind of neat. So, Guy Gardner, Green Lantern is hilarious in this, though. He's
Yeah.
so good. But yeah, I thought they were fun to see.
Yeah. I mean, I
They don't
look.
they don't steal the show at any point, which is good. Um, but yeah, they're solid.
Hmm. I've got no connection to Hawkgirl. I mean, I guess it's like of the characters in the film. Like, I was being asked about Mister Terrific, for example, and I will totally admit I don't know that much about Mister Terrific, but I enjoyed his presence in the film a great deal. Whereas Guy Gardner, I had a lot more of a connection to. I mean, there's a moment. There's a couple of moments to bring up with him. I mean, I think the moment where he says, "So, he's Clark Kent," is like a really funny, well delivered moment for him, as well as like I made oven mitts and like all these little bits with him, like just really funny. And I know that James Gunn is friends with Nathan Fillion, but it was one of those like perfect casting choices for that type of character, and I'm very excited to see more of him. Like, I mean, obviously it's been confirmed that he's in the Lanterns show, so I'm looking forward to seeing more of that character because he's such an oddball for that type of superhero. Yeah, the moment where he agrees with Metamorpho that he's in the team is just really funny. Justice Gang. That sounds awesome.
You're in.
Aaron, yes. What'd you think of Supergirl's cameo at the end?
It's a nice little tease. Um, that's the next. That is the next movie,
It is the
right?
next movie.
Okay.
It's Supergirl.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I mean, if you've seen Red Letter Media's review of Superman, they're like, I don't know if that's like a good take on Supergirl with like her being like super drunk and all that. But as someone who has read Tom King's Woman of Tomorrow, which is what they're going for with the Supergirl movie, I know that is like an exact depiction of Supergirl in that book. So I think the thing with Supergirl I want to bring up as well is that it's difficult to not do Supergirl and just have her be another Superman. Like I think one of the benefits that we've seen from the Spider-Verse films is that you don't have to have everyone be the exact same type of Spider-Man, like the exact same type of hero. And I mean, that goes for what we're saying with Guy Gardner. I mean, I like Green Lantern, and it's like this must be so cool to see this character get adapted so well. And I think for a lot of people who aren't in the know, they see a Green Lantern, they're like, "Man, why is Green Lantern such a dick in this movie?" And if all the Green Lanterns are exactly the same, then there's nothing to it. It's just the same character over and over again. If Supergirl is just Superman but a girl, then there's nothing new to it. It's like in the TV show, like all due respect to those who made it, but like Cat Grant is Perry White, and it's like she has the glasses, everything is the same as Superman. So I'm happy to see a different type of adaptation for Supergirl that makes her a different type of entity to Superman. Yeah. Anything else on that front?
Nothing much.
Yeah. All right, so I guess we can maybe talk about the future of this franchise now.
Yeah.
What are your feelings towards this?
This I think was a great start to it. So it has people invested, made a lot of money. So it's like this is the type of direction you want to take the universe in. And I will be curious just how much James Gunn's going to be involved as a director moving forward. Obviously, if he does like more Superman sequels, that's one thing. But yeah, I am excited though. Like just him being in charge of all this, he has a good understanding of like where to take this universe. So I'm excited.
Nice. I am too. And just, you know, we we know obviously Supergirl's next, but then after that, we're getting a Clayface movie that is
That's true. Yeah.
set in the DCU. We have Mike Flanagan writing it, and to me, the notion of that type of project has me super excited because that what that tells me is that it's like they're not necessarily concerned with interconnected storytelling per se. They just want to tell good stories with these characters first and foremost. And I mean, that kind of speaks to like the Venom films where I don't know, I'm not going to sit here and call any of the Venom films good, but the first one was so popular that they got 3 films out of it. So, I don't mind doing films about the villains if they write a good story. I mean, I don't think Morbius or Venom or Madam Web or Craven should have had their own films, but it's like when people talk about like you could do solo films of all the X-Men, and I don't really think you can, but at the same time with the right directors, the right script, the right people starring, sure, it's possible. Like you can make a film about anything. Like a lot of these characters have had solo stories in comics, so yes, it's possible. It is it profitable is another story, but possible, yes. So I think that with Clayface, I mean, Mike Flanagan writing, and I'm just interested in what that take will be. So it is funny that we get this so early in a universe that they're establishing, but we're also not building to the Justice League movie. It's different to the MCU, so you have to remove your mindset from that type of structure of setting up a universe where you introduce each character in a film and then they come together for the one movie. This is a little different to that. I mean, funny enough, it feels a little bit like comic books. Like you start a run with a new writer and, what have you, and these characters existed for a while. That's just how it is with comics. And so doing films about different types of characters are not like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, The Flash. Like, in order to do that, I think it's a little more interesting to see what they do next.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like the idea that it's not all James Gunn. I think that's an important part of all of this, because if it was all the vision of one type of person, then again, there's no difference. I like the idea of a filmmaker being in charge of the creative side and therefore getting different types of creatives in to do their takes on characters. I mean, of course, at the end of the day, it is James Gunn's thumbs up if something goes ahead. And I know he's talked about recently about canceling a film that they felt passionate about that just wasn't working. And it's never been said exactly what the film was. But also you look at all the films and shows that he announced in that video a couple of years ago, and we haven't heard anything about Booster Gold or the Amanda Waller show and some of these things. So things are just going to fall by the wayside. And I understand that they did that announcement to show that they are working on stuff, but it's like Marvel announcing their slate of films and shows, and we still don't have like Armor Wars or Blade or some of these other things that they've announced. Like, remember that Inhumans movie they announced for Phase 3?
Oh, man.
Oh, man. So, I'd really love to see Kevin Feige do an interview like what James Gunn has been doing recently, because have you been keeping up with a lot of James Gunn interviews recently?
No, like kind of loosely, but like not very thoroughly.
Yeah, I just love how just frank and upfront he is with all this stuff. Like it's so, frankly, it's very refreshing. Just personally, but I'd love to see Kevin Feige do an interview like the ones that James Gunn has been doing, just because he doesn't do enough media. But I would really like to sit down. Not personally, me. I don't think I'm the right person for that, but I want someone to sit down with him and talk about what didn't work, what was a surprise hit, a surprise failure. What have you tried to get working that hasn't worked? Like, why did you use this villain? Why did you not use Kang? Like, we've gotten a little bit of some of those answers recently, but I'd like to see the big interview with him where we get some of the answers about stuff, because he has essentially said, we started announcing stuff because that was the direction from Disney, and not everything was ready, and not everything is being made. So, as a result, you've gotten shows that haven't exactly worked, and you've gotten projects that haven't been made. So I find that talk interesting, but that's where I have an interest in that side of the industry.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the thing that helps make you excited for the future, because I do really love the idea that anything could get made, and it's not a structure of we've got to tell the main three heroes first and then the other Justice League. Like, yeah, I like the idea that anything can be made. I mean, there was this feeling in 2019 when Shazam and Joker were the two films that year for DC, and they were two very different films. And it was like, hey, great, I'm on board for this. It just make them whatever. Like, this is like, that is just so much more exciting and interesting to me. And my feelings on both of those films have changed with time, but I mean, I still like that idea of getting to see people just make any type of adaptation of these characters. So that, at the end of the day, is a big positive.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you want to say about Superman?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so this is just another James Gunn win. I'm happy for that. And like I said, I think the changes that are made with this film in terms of the source material, I think they work really well within the context of the movie. And I've seen people say, I've seen lots of different reactions to that in general, to people being like, oh, well, now we'll never get the definitive Superman. It's like, well, just read the comics then. I don't know what to tell you. Or there's people that are like, we have to fix this. We have to. I think to walk that back, it just goes against what this movie was going for thematically.
Right.
Because, like we said, James Gunn is interested in how a person, like what a person ultimately does, not necessarily where they come from. Like, you know, it's the same with like the Guardians movies. Like Star-Lord comes from a planet named Ego, and
Yeah.
he goes against what his father wanted him to be. So that's just a James Gunn thing, and I think it works really well in this story.
Hmm.
Because that's the important thing at the end of the day is you could do all these different things. You could pull all these classic characters, but I think at the end of the day, when you adapt them for a movie, I think telling a worthwhile story first and foremost is the most important thing. Above all else.
Yep.
All right. So is that it? Are we done?
I think we're done.
All right. So Chris, where can people find you online?
You can find me over on Instagram and Letterboxd.
I'm there as well. I'm also on Blue Sky, and you can also find my video editing work for the Amazing Spider Talk podcast on YouTube. So, thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you all next time. Take care.